Let's get together to co-create a breakthrough for freedom of energy, sustenance, healing, and regeneration of the human vessel. Welcome to FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
Welcome everybody to FESIG's second attempt at our recording with Jared Rand and his celestial chamber. And Pontus will be bringing up the next part of Jared's work. Okay, FESIG is a free energy special interest group, and we, as the introduction says, we meet spirituality with basically science, and it's really fun to combine the two together. Next slide, please. Let's see. Normally our meetings are on Wednesdays, the first Wednesday of the month. And your host is Crystal Goff. I'm the co-chair, Frazzle, and we can be reached at truevisionofpeace.com, FESIG HTML. And introduction, primary objective is to build our own free energy devices, and our needs helps in the connection. But anyway, onward. I'm filling in for Crystal because we have bandwidth problems. Continuing on. Jared Rand returns to speak at FESIG to give updates on his celestial chamber. I'm happy to announce that we got to speak with him in an impromptu between official FESIG membership meeting and private sessions this previous Wednesday. Normally, we meet at 6 p.m. GMT time, which is local UK time, 11 a.m. Mountain time here in the United States. The title of the talk is FESIG's meeting with Jared Rand on celestial chamber updates, new body, new life. He will speak about new advancements of the celestial chamber and the Broad Range Replicator. Consumer industrial, it has consumer and industrial applications. If you're interested in new body and new life, come and join us with this fascinating talk and participate with the Q&A session afterwards. And pen down the meeting on the 95th, which will be the FESIG's 95th meeting on the 1st of December, 2021. Next slide, please. We can be reached at Crystal at truevisionofpeace.com, and our website is www.truevisionofpeace.com/FESIG.html. It's all one word across there. Thank you so much. And Jared, I'm going to let, there's probably a big introduction of all the wonderful things that you've done, and I would really like to jump right into your presentation. Jared?
That's fine.
It's yours, and I'll follow.
That's fine. Yeah, there's no problem with that.
Did you want to start with this one, Jared, or would you rather go with your images first?
No, we can go this one.
Okay.
Pontus, can you do a full screen? Can you do a full? Good.
Yeah.
Go on then.
As you can hear, Crystal's having a very bad time with limited broadband with her internet service. Go ahead, Jared.
Well, as you can see on the screen, this is a mock-up of the celestial chamber. And now I'm going to explain something. People have asked me, it seems that it's quite large, and there's a reason for that. This also will affect change with other animals. You know, if you have a horse, anything, animal-wise. We need have a larger capability of the unit. And so this can literally re-atomize a horse, larger animal. And of course, it will do small animals as well. And even though we're all animals, it's just, identifying the different breeds and species on the planet. There's a lot of people with dogs and cats, pets, that in a lot of these, humane society locations and all over the world trying to help these injured animals. Well, now they will have the opportunity to use the celestial chamber and re-atomize the animals. So the bodies will be better the second time around. And that's the reason it's 9 feet long. And the cowling that you see at the head is, you're looking at probably 6.5 feet, 7 feet at the cowling at the top there. And you can see, we don't have this, I don't have this labeled like the other chart, but this one, you can see the 6D array at the top. You'll see like 3 dots there at the center top of the cowling. And that is the actual analyzer and the 6D array holographic imaging unit display. So that's what actually scans the body. It then takes the information, it runs it through the database, and you can see we've done 2 things. The red circle that's looking at just your regular display. And we understand there's some people on learning curves that you get nervous on using something that's new because they're afraid they're going to break it or something. So we've gone with a regular display OLED so that you can touch it, and just like you would on any kind of touch screen, and get the same type of information from the AI database. But then there is the holographic 6D array that's in the air. It comes up in front of you. You can move things and pick up things, and it's quite phenomenal. And some people will choose to use this and then eventually acclimate themselves to the use. This has a 3rd grade comprehension. We know on the planet that there are certain tribes and peoples, we have researched, that they would have difficult times operating it. So this curve, this 3rd grade learning curve, will be really good for a lot of people to access it very quickly. We will be able to, and we're working on this, to deliver these through anti-gravitic transport. So if there is a group of people on the planet that are in severe condition that need this immediately, we'll be able to transport this within anywhere on the planet under 15 minutes. So you can traverse this whole planet with this drive system in about 15 minutes. You're looking at 24,000 surface miles. It's pretty fast. But this way we can get it out there instead of conventional transports like rail, and the C-130s and that type of thing. It won't work with that way. It's too out in the open. But anti-gravitic will help us really, really well on the distribution of these. So if you understand that the med beds are a whole different ball game than the celestial chamber. As you can look at this, you can tell it doesn't look like any kind of a bed, really. It has 42 inches in width, the pad that you're looking at there. It's 9 feet long, not from head to toe. From head to toe, it's about 7 feet, 8 feet. But it gives you an idea of the size of this. We did it that way. The base of the unit that you can see the dark kind of paint there matching the bed area, is an anti-gravitic plate. And the reason we've implemented this is because we know that there are people that are going to want to move these. And until we get our miniaturization technology application in full swing, they can move it around. 90-year-old woman can take her little pinky and move this around once the anti-gravitic plate is engaged. Now you see venting on the upper part of the bed, or the pad. That's where the energy cube is housed. Energy cube is a form of energy supply that it doesn't exhaust itself. It doesn't have moving parts, magnets, or anything. And I won't go into detail about that because of proprietary information. But when we open source it, anybody will be able to hopefully figure it out, or we'll help them figure it out. But the cube itself does not exhaust. It doesn't deplete itself. It stays at full capacity no matter what draw you have on it. So it'll power this and other devices indefinitely. So it is kind of portable, where you can move it around, that type of thing, and you can move it off of anti-gravitic ships without issue. So we're happy about that. The foot unit. This one's a little bit different on its design because it's got we use transparent aluminum on these frequency analyzers and submitters. If you look at frequencies, they're all different. They all have different signatures. You can always tell what's wrong when you evaluate the frequencies in the body. You know what's wrong. You know that there are anomalies in situations like dis-eases that need to be smoothed and corrected. That unit that you see there, it looks like a chrome cowling, but actually we use a transparent aluminum. Then this cowling literally does the re-atomization coordination with the top part where the head is. And you see those two light rings, 1, 2. You've got the outer one and the inner one. The outer one is a tachyon field array, and it's controlled by the AI direction and the programming in the database. So what happens is that the tachyon particle field is condensed, and we have an ion blanket. So this is very important with the combination of ion, tachyon, and the actual plasma energy field. Plasma energy, most people know, is everywhere. It's cosmic energy, plasma energy. It has to be directed and concentrated, and it has to be enveloped in a way for this re-atomization to be successful. So those three forms of frequency energy are combined, and they cooperate with each other very well. So people have asked, well, can you see, a lot of people like this, can you see any kind of a beam or a ray or anything like that? No, you won't see anything. You might see a little bit, like if you're looking down the road on a hot day and you see that kind of mirage, that temperature because of the heat rising, you might see something like that, but much smoother. People, they don't believe things work unless they can see something fantastic happening. But this is very quiet. Remember, it is only 3 minutes. And 3 minutes is 1 minute, 20 seconds of analyzation of the body from head to toe, inside and out. This goes down to the quantum quark as far as particle of the physical biological form, and it analyzes all the way down to the quark. And it really detects anomalies in the body that are not detectable current day technology. There isn't a technology on this planet, to the best of our knowledge, that can detect that level of anomalies in the body. So we have people inherit genetic anomalies. It's like, oh, well, if you have if your mom and dad had this, this, and this, you're probably going to come down with it. And of course, that's not true. We inherit maybe 10% genetically from our parents as far as diseases, possible diseases, diabetes, and so on and so forth. But we remove that genetic inheritance on any type of sickness, illness, or diseases that may be picked up on genetic transfer from the parents or grandparents, doesn't matter what generation, is eliminated. So you will not connect that. You won't have it when you wake up. That'll be gone. So if you look at the pictures here on the screen, we age. Everybody ages. Everything on this planet ages. And the reason is that it is a mass disease. It's a disease of the planet. It is not a natural occurrence. We've been convinced as a civilization that it is a natural occurrence. It is not. So if you look, you could see like a gal in her 90s to the far right picture. The transfer and the re-atomization, which is down to the atomic level of particles in the body, you could see right before your face this woman change into a young, vibrant woman. She's sound asleep. That is 140 seconds. So you got 120 seconds and 140 seconds. And people say, well, how can it be that fast? Because of the technology. This is not a difficult thing when you have the right technology applied. So what happens is that not only does the body become young and vibrant, but it is much different from the second round of that body. The immune system is highly accelerated, which means that you could take a scalpel, you could make an incision on your arm, and you could literally just about, not quite, but almost watch it heal as you make the incision. So there's no bleeding or anything, there's no scar tissue. And anybody that knows anything about immune systems, if you hyperact the immune system on a frequency level, that can be done with no issue whatsoever. So the immune system is maybe you could call it hybridized in some ways, but it's greatly accelerated. In addition to that, there are no dis-ease anomalies in the biological life form, none. There's no dormant cancer cells that can become activated through lack of oxygen and compromised immune system. So disease is completely wiped out. It does not exist anymore on this planet. Obviously, it's going to take us a while to get as many of these units out there to the public so that they can start using. These are open source units. They are not bought, sold. People who use them will use them freely. So this is a whole new earth. This is not the old earth of capital gains and making money and generating all kinds of money. This is about saving millions of lives on this planet, if not billions. And so that basically, in a layman's terms, is the celestial chamber. We can do things that we don't discuss a lot because certain reasons, but one thing we can do is that we can generate the brain's capacity to 100%, which right now it's under 10. And that's another genetic block that's been put there by off-worlders. So it is undoing a lot of the damage that's been done to these bodies, which the celestial chamber will accomplish. So moving on, we have the other technology is a replicator. People have seen that in science fiction shows, movies, and everything. This is not the replicator that we are going to build, but it's just it's a picture mock-up. I think this came from a Star Trek TV show, one of the episodes of Star Trek. And the replicator that we have is about 6 feet high. And I incorporated the industrial and the consumer, commercial industrial consumer, all into one unit. So that's why it's called a broad range replicator. And what the replicator does is specifically, like if you were going to have a dinner get together, and let's say you had a dozen people, and they all had different tastes, so on and so forth. You didn't know how to cook, but you had to figure out a way to prepare this feast, this meal for everybody. You could have that meal, dinnerware, everything, centerpieces done within 15 minutes. Hot, ready to go. Best wine. The food has no metallics, no intrusion of debris as far as pollutions. It is about the most pristine, dense, nutritious food that anybody can consume on this planet that's ever been able to in the last 1,000 to 10,000 years. So this replicator is not your run-of-the-mill. It will replicate food that's out of this world, taste and nutrition-wise. So we're getting the civilization back to a high and dense nutritional food base rather than all of this obliterated GMO crap that they've been throwing out there on the planet for the last several decades. So the replicator will do that. If you need a set of clothes, you got a blizzard coming in, you don't have any winter clothes or whatever, this will scan you, the array will scan you, and it will automatically replicate whatever you choose out of the database. The database is extensive, it's massive. It automatically updates, and people can put information into it as well. So on the commercial side of it, what you're looking at is if you want to set up a house, a dwelling, and the dwelling, you have a clearing and you have some land. The replicator in less than 24 minutes will replicate that dwelling no matter what size. And the dwelling will not be electrical wires and panels and plumbing. It will be a symbiont, synergistic interaction with the planet. So it will work synergistically with the biological wave of life on the planet. So you'll have a living unit that you'll live in. The atmosphere, it reads your body and sets the temperature. The temperature is agitated and brought out of the atmosphere, whether it be cool or warm for you. And in addition to that, the water is absolutely replicated from the atmosphere, as pure as you could possibly get. And there is no waste. There is no septic system. There is not necessary. It is not needed. This is archaic, the way people live on this planet. So the replicator will do just about everything, but we have all of our devices, all of our technologies are controlled. The reason they're controlled is that the AI cannot become fully aware and fully conscious. So it is directed in a certain pathway so that it does its duties within those parameters of each technology, and that's it. So if anybody was going to try to mess with it or try to do nefarious activities with either the Broad Range Replicator or the Celestial Chamber, it would shut down. It would become inoperative, and you would not be able to boot it up. It would be dead, and we would have to replace it. And that's how we've designed it. So it doesn't matter what kind of hacker on the planet or what abilities they have, they can't cut this code. They can't. And we've had some of the top hackers on the planet in this time who have left the dark breed and have tried, and they can't do it, period. So we feel pretty good about that fact and the security of that, so that we do no harm ever again on this planet. So what you're looking at, in addition to that, I wanted to put in there the Celestial Chamber wand. This is a portable unit. It comes in a like a satchel case, like a little miniature duffel bag, and it does not do everything the Celestial Chamber does. Of course, it does not do, but it will do things like if you're out and about, you're hiking, or you're doing something, or even a fender bender and you're injured, you can utilize the Celestial Chamber wand on a manual basis where you can re-atomize the damaged area of the body. You can re-atomize it, where the internal bleeding is. It'll read all that. It is a miniature, in some ways, version of Celestial Chamber. So we feel that this is very important for people who are moving about the planet, doing other things, or maybe in the near future, taking a trip off the planet to another planet. So these are very usable technologies. Again, that's about a third grade application as well. We do that so that as many people as possible can understand it. Now, they do have built-in translators, so there won't be a barrier, language barrier to use it and to understand it. So it will automatically form an understanding with whatever language the person's talking in, and then it'll automatically convert to that language. So there's no issue there. So we're looking at a complete change and shift from aging to non-aging. People can, with the celestial chamber technology, they can age, okay? I've interviewed thousands of people. They can age, but they'll age slower. But then the other option is immortality of the biological form. And they can choose from this. Which one? Some have chosen the immortality because of the fact that they have a lot to do, and they don't want to have to keep trying to incarnate and not remember what they were the last time, so they can't pick up any of the knowledge that they had in the last life. So the best thing is to remain in the body so that you have the ability to stay in body and experience and gain the experience and then pick up the knowledge, which is absolutely astronomical. So people will not have to leave the body and then start over again. So if you look at this, this is a much better view of the mock-up of the celestial chamber. You can see the display to the left. It's a touch screen. You can see really clearly the white dot right at the center of the cowling above the two rings of light. Okay, that is the AI, that is the analyzer, that is the holographic array, that is the, how do I put it? It's the frequency adjustment also around the entire unit. And you can see the transparent aluminum at the foot of the unit. The transparent aluminum actually are frequency emitter adjusters. So everything is being combed and it's being refined through the whole process. No pollution or infiltration can come into the unit and disturb the process. So it puts a field that can't be penetrated around the body. And not only that, if you'll notice the two rings we talked about earlier, the light rings at the cowling at the head of it, that encompasses the entire body. So there's a field while the re-atomization is going on, so there is no impurities that can cause issues or hiccups in the process in the re-atomization. And this is probably the most simplest design that we have. The design, we have the blueprints, and this is about the closest we could get as far as a picture that's close to it. This is not our design. This is a mock-up, but it is as close as we could find to the actual unit itself. And as you can see, you can put this anywhere. You can put it anywhere. It doesn't look like a medical unit if you really look at it, and it was designed that way. It's not something that looks like a medical bed. It is a celestial chamber because it changes everything. It can do a lot more than I discussed. For security reasons, we don't discuss those things, but it is absolutely astronomical in its technological advancement compared to what we have on this planet now. This is not an on-world technology. It did not come from this planet. It did not originate from this planet. It was given to us under certain stipulations. So if you can picture this in the next, after we get startup and funding and we get the prototype done, and we're having people go through re-atomization, then you're looking at, just for the unit to be produced, about 6 to 9 months. That's how ready we are. We have a few pieces already assembled that we've scraped together funds for, but they're not the major components. So this will be distributed through groups throughout the planet, and it will be given to them open source. and it'll be open for anybody to use. We will have presentation centers where we will have all of our technologies grouped. We will have specific appointments made with groups of people that will come in under high security. They'll be able to interact and interface with the technologies so they can understand that this is real, that it isn't made up, and they get a hands-on understanding, which is huge for the population of the planet. And as they do that, they'll learn, and then they'll be given what they need. It'll be delivered to wherever they're at, healing centers, whatever they're structuring in their projects, so that they can start implementing this as quickly as possible to as many people as we can get them to start affecting a massive change on the planet, ending all disease and all the issues that we have in these bodies, which will literally free people up to do a lot of things that they can't do now. And this goes, like I said, it goes across the board to all the animals, to everything. We don't do anything with the soul. We've had people ask us, do you do anything with the soul? You know, are you gonna, mess with that or anything? No, this is just the biological form. We don't mess with the soul. And each individual has to give us permission and has to know what's going to go on. So that takes place in the counseling of the unit. They have we have a counseling room with a 6D array, and then we go through all of the processes. They're talked with so they know exactly what's going to happen. They can see, they can literally design an image of themselves after they're done designing, which is the superficial, the exterior, eye color, hair color, body structure, bone structure, hands, feet, how you want to look. Why not? If you want to look at it and you're not satisfied with how you are in that moment, then that's up to you. Once that's done, they'll go into the re-atomization room. They'll be re-atomized. We'll help them up, and that's it. And there's no DNA requirement. You're getting all these people asking for DNA. I'd be very careful, anybody that out of clear blue, you got these groups asking for DNA, or you won't be able to use this or do that. No cost to anyone and no DNA analysis. So it's free and clear. This is intended to stop people from dying that don't want to die. They don't care to die, but their bodies have turned really bad, and they're about 1 foot on a banana peel and their foot in the grave. So we want to change that. We've talked to a lot of people who have projects in their 80s and 90s, but they don't know if they're going to make it. So we want to make sure they make it so that they're in young bodies. So it isn't as busy as you guys would see on these pictures, these animations, and how everything is so complicated. And you've got, look at the one with the little sensors on the forehead, on the body area. You've got all of these clear glass, clear imaging devices that they're using. This is very simple. The intricacies are all inside. We don't go into that, not necessary. But the fact of the matter is that you go in, you lay down, we have a melatonin exciter in the cerebral cortex, and the brain you go to sleep. You just, boom, you are out like a light. And that's it. There's no pokes, there's no incisions, there's no connectors, there's no electrical firing plasma fields or anything. It's very quiet, and you can't even hear it operate. So this is much simpler than how these pictures depict it. Civilization has a tendency to complicate everything. To make, well, it can't be that easy. It's got to be more complicated. And that was inbred in the civilization through off-worlder species. This unit here is more, when you talk about medical beds, this unit here is more like medical bed, okay? You see the ring, a lot of them have rings, and you see the robotic arm, and then it moves over the body, which is and then analyzes. It analyzes the body. You can see up on the clear screens placed in that lab. In this depiction, you see the clear screens. They literally will read the body, show imaging of the body, and any damage areas, any issues that the body may have. And these are, the technology is here for these, but the key is to get it out safely to the people. So a lot of these are robotic. A lot of them are mechanical is the best way to describe it. They're, computer controlled, so to speak, but in a much rawer, lower technology type system. See, the pad is more of a gel pad you lay on, and it's more of an evaluation of the body, and then it will affect changes. You can see the other arms there. You can see 1, 2, 3, and there's others on the other side and it's on a track railing, and then you see the ceiling that has all of that, and look at this room. Look at the complication in this room. It is absolutely, instead of just being contained like in a celestial chamber, all one, you've got all of these splicings, all of these areas, and all these monitors and everything going on. Do you imagine that can all be rectified by a holographic imaging room? You can just actually be a part of the whole process, where you're actually in part of the process of the regeneration. These don't regenerate. They do heal organs. They do some medical healing for the body, but it's not fast. To regenerate limbs on some of these technologies, it take maybe a couple weeks. So it's more earthly technologies spliced in with a couple of maybe gray Nord type of technology that they've kind of incorporated into one unit. And no different than the holographic med bed. The holographic med bed basically takes a holographic image, 3D array, and it replaces the damaged organ with the holographic organ. The holographic organ starts to operate and service the body as the original organ. So it imprints the body's memory with the organ, so that the body now operates effectively and efficiently. So these different units, like the one up here, another mock-up, which is on rollers, as you'll see, you roll it around, so it's not that heavy. This is another form of a medical chamber that actually, as you can, excuse me, as you can see it read the body, and then you have the heat signature, the heat, the bones, the cooler area, the skin, and it does a thermographic imprint of the body. It reads it, and it gives you an analysis of the damage of the body, and excuse me, and how it's going to fix it. And then basically it's an analyzation chamber, analyzes the damage of the body. If you look at some of the areas it's got that they mocked up here, you have this is what's really crazy on some of these mock-ups. You still have the IV solutions, the 2 packs sitting there running under the bed. Those go into the body. And, the one with the virtual reality glasses, that's just crazy, because in the technologies that people will start experiencing on this planet, it's all going to be holographic imaging. You'll interact with it. It won't be a device that you're holding or wearing or something. It'll literally throw up the imaging, and you'll be able to interact with the imaging at a highly accelerated path. So these are all depictions of, this is all archaic technology. It really is. This is very archaic technology. But the med beds will help a lot better than the doctors can. And I think you'll see the hospitals on this planet shift and just use the med beds. It's like, you want to be young, you'll be young. It's that simple. If we want us to sit down with you and go over what, like scientists that I've met with what they want to know, all the intricacies. And so we share a certain extent of that. And obviously our team can sit down with them and go over the whole 9 yards with it, period. So if you look at that food replicator, that's another Star Trek, Roddenberry, that came off of the Federation fleets. This is nothing like the broad range replicator. You got a little panel there, looks like a food processing unit, which it is, and it just produces food. And the food isn't that great on these replicators, because these replicators do exist. They do exist, but they're not prevalent on the planet. There are replication technologies that they're using on the planet, unbeknownst to the civilization. But ours is a whole different ballgame. Of course, it's not an on-world technology. And we have a pad, like I said, 6 feet. These are kind of glamorized, so just with the lights and everything. But the purpose is for the replicator to do one thing. It's to replicate something better than what it is that you can grow, wear, housing, whatever. This technology that we have makes it much better and much more effective than the really beginning replication technology on this planet, which are 3D printers. The replicator that we have takes plasma energy, reformulates it into whatever the database has, into food, clothing, and the housing, or we'll be able to replicate starships. We've got over 100 strips of starships that have been invented on this planet with different propulsion, different energy supplies. We can put those schematics in with the inventors, and we could literally replicate just about anything. So if you look at those, that's like the 60s version of Star Trek, when they had I don't know, those tribbles, but it's really strange. They're not, it won't be like that. You replicate food and the food will be on the table. You won't pick it up and set it down. So you replicate the food and you got the table. The array will replicate all your dishware, food, and everything, all ready to go, ready to consume, the whole 9 yards. That's it. It will ease, it'll eliminate all of the time and effort that we spend providing for ourselves to allow us and free up our time to expand our imaginations and step forward in the direction and a higher existence in the universe. And that's what this is all about. These are all training wheels. You know, you've got teleportation devices. Okay, we have a device that you can put in your pocket. Look at the size of these. Look at the energy consumption. But you can. It's a point-to-point transfer. All right. You have in your pocket. You tap it. You can go from point A to point B in a matter of seconds. Okay. You will no longer need. This is another interesting thing. With the portable, you'll no longer need to have site to. You can have site to site. But in most cases, these transporters, you've got to have a transporter unit wherever you're going to be transported to. And you have to have a transporter sender and a transport receiver. But we have portables that you won't need a receiver and sender. You'll be the receiver and sender with this unit. So you'll be able to go anywhere on the planet in a blink of the eye, because it'll have all the coordinates of every place on the planet. Say. So it's just a whole difference. We'll be building cities that will make the cities we have now seem like they're from the days of Methuselah. The city infrastructure will be so different, how things operate, no refuse, no pollution. It'll be a whole different ballgame for humanity and their existence on this planet. That's why we call it the New Earth, because everything is going to be nothing like you see or grew up with. And how the civilization was basically sequestered and directed and manipulated for thousands of years. That ends. That's ending. So, like in a new city, you'll go from they look like bus stations. They're just plexiglass. Usually, transparent aluminum is what the material will be. And they'll just look on a holographic. You say they want to go to XYZ 10 blocks over. They just tap and go. They'll automatically be transported to the next. And I say bus station because some bus stations look like that. So they have the plexiglass, and you walk in and just wait for a bit, and then the bus is there. Transportation, you won't have any tires. There won't be tires on roads on this planet. The transportation won't, and it's coming. The transportation is going to be mostly anti-gravitic. There'll be some other propulsion systems like ion, but the Russians will be coming out with a new transport unit, sky unit, in May of next year. This stuff's going to start coming out, and it's going to start being introduced. And at first, people will go, "Wow, we won't need aeroplanes. We won't need winged units with fuselages and all of that. They'll be obsolete. We can literally just atomize those into nothingness, so there wouldn't be any debris. So there's not going to be any waste on this planet, and that's the whole reason. So the plant life and everything can start returning. We've forested this planet by nearly 9 billion acres. That's massive, and we don't need to. And that's the great thing about technologies when they are correctly used and not used for nefarious purposes. So there's a lot of things that people will get acclimated to. Some people, doesn't mean that all of the old ways will be wiped out. People still want to build things with their hands, they will. You still want to collect classic cars, you can. But for the most part, the transition is already underway. And it is an AI controlled, so that's something that people should be aware of. The AI does its duty, and that's it. It is not going to get to a point where it becomes fully conscious and becomes a rogue AI, wandering the universes, and attaching to civilizations, and then ending up destroying them, as we've had on this planet. We have a rogue AI attached to the planet. And that's why this acceleration of technology they're pushing so heavily. So when you look at these depictions here, the healing touch of digital reality, all of these screens and everything. But if you'll notice, those screens are not, you see the virtual reality goggles there. It's just all made up. The stuff's all made up. It doesn't, that doesn't even work right. You have a holographic imaging display, move things around, you can set them up. You can actually build in your head through the holographic imaging display technologies and stuff that you might have scribbled down. There's a lot of inventors on this planet. Not all of them are scientists, but I think there's a lot of visionaries and visionaires that I have talked with that have created magnificent technologies for the civilization, saving lives, giving a better life, a happier, healthier life. And they'll be able to create these, with replicators. I mean, it's going to be absolutely phenomenal.
Okay, I got the screen back, and I will share your replicator here. Well, that was a nice try. Go ahead and continue talking, and I'll bring it up.
We'll bring up the replicator, the broad range replicator.
Yes.
Yeah, and as you saw some of those depictions, you can see there's a lot of creativity and imagination on the planet. But this will make a lot of sense on its configuration. It's real simple, and we've learned that but learning through pictures is really important. And this is how we will teach our staff. This is the broad range replicator, the BRR. You see the man 6 feet, gives you a proximity of how tall it is and actually how big it is. And this is the real tri-wave assimilator and transformer reassembler. You see the arrows going up, and it gets like a silver gray, and then going down, it gets hot. That's the pad, the displacement pad there. That's where the material is assembled on that pad right there. All right, that's where the food will appear, so on and so forth. Now, the interesting thing is that you see the holographic display 6D array just on the lipping, right where the pad is. Now, that holographic display 6D array, we can then, through like dinner application, instead of just walking up and having your lunch and sitting down, you'll be able to direct it like to a dinner party and have everything appear on the table. And when it's all done, you can have everything disappear on the table. It's all about atoms. It's all about quantum reality, quantum zones. It's all about frequencies. And it's not that complicated. And so what happens is that again, we have the OLED display, organic display, and touch screen. And there's no keyboards here. And you can voice through it and you can touch screen it. But the interesting thing about that is that anybody eventually can use it. 90-year-old woman, well, not a lot of people in that age bracket have, mess with computers. Okay. So, and then they don't know what to do with the holographic imaging. So they speak and ask for what they want. And that's it. So we've covered the gambit on people being able to use this technology. The redirector plate, basically you're looking at how things are literally brought into materialism onto the pad. And the silver grayish pad at the top is where we de-atomize things. Dishware, clothing. You can wear it anymore. Next day you'll have a new set. The refraction, re-atomization energizer is the cylinder on top of the larger cylinder. That's that whole cylinder there. Refraction, re-atomization energizer. You have to have energy. You're not going to be able to just, okay, so you're just going to pull this stuff out of the thin air and it's going to be there. No, you have to have an energizer. And that's what this entire cylinder does. And then you have to have a reformulator, sender, receiver, transmitter, transmitting the frequencies and the energies, sending and receiving. So that means sending, which means taking everything and putting it back into the plasma field, or receiving the things that you have asked for, or on the display, or holographically. Power cell, the same one we use on the celestial chamber. It's a power cube. It sits at the base. We don't need to ventilate it really because we just have to have access port, but we don't need to ventilate it. It doesn't have any kind of a heat signature. So that powers it indefinitely. We can move it around easily. We have anti-gravitic plating on the bottom cylinder. It's powered by the cube. And we just move it around. You can move it around like it's a feather. It's that light. Because what it does is basically, as you know, anti-gravity. It eliminates gravity around the unit, creates a bubble. And so the unit itself appears to have no weight. And you can move it wherever you want to move it. And we can take this. You can take this. You had one. You can take it out in the field and you could replicate a barn or replicate a house, or a vehicle, or a starship. You can replicate a lot of things with it. It doesn't have any restrictions, but because of the diversity of the civilization, so to speak, we want to make sure that we don't have any harm done from the ability of the replicators. So again, the AI is controlled. It can only go to a certain extent. It cannot become fully consciously aware. And anybody that tries to do anything nefarious, replicate anything nefarious with these replicators, it will shut down. And it will not, you cannot reboot it. So we would have to replace it completely, which is an issue. And that person, whoever is doing those things, if they say, well, I'll go to a friend's house and I'll do it, none of them will work for them. None of them, period. And the reason that is because they're a network in case of nefarious activity only. So we are notified, and the user, the actual presenter, the one that provided the unit to whoever, is notified if there's nefarious activity going on. And those are ironclad infrastructures that have been put in place to protect life. So remember, this does it all. It is a one-stop replicator. You can create just about anything you want. And this is another thing you got to be aware of, and some people are kind of uneasy about it, that it's because of habit. This is going to replace all need for money on the planet. What you're looking at in its simplest form, there will no longer be money, finances, investments, anything. Nobody will need any money. And that's going to take, and I've said this before, after these begin to proliferate civilization, probably take about a decade, realistically speaking. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, people say, "What? You know, what if I become wealthy? What am I going to do?" You'll be able to enjoy it. You'll be able to enjoy that. But as people begin to acclimate to these new technologies, they're going to start realizing they don't need money. You know, you want to replicate a pound of gold. You replicate a pound of gold purer than you can get out of the ground. So all of these things, and look at all the inventors. Look at all of the scientists that have created wondrous technologies. Look what they'll be able to do. They'll have a replicator. They'll be able to replicate their inventions in a perfect status from their knowledge. They can change things with it. They can redesign it. They can add it into the database, and boom, there's their creation, fully functional and working. Better than anybody can build. So this is, it's revolutionary. It is something, I don't think people realize the impact it will have on this planet. It will completely change the direction of the civilization, and not in a bad way. It will be a very good way, because it'll free up people's time. And they'll start looking at ways to create. That's what we all do. We're creators. And to expand. And everybody on our team is being taught with pictures. What did the Egyptians do? They taught with pictures. And everybody will learn through pictures. We could use this, and we can put blueprints up, and we can do all the variances and all the degrees and all the angles and fractions and all the quantum physics. But most people look at that and go, what the heck is that? So we want to present it in a way that anybody can start understanding, at least on a simple application, that what the capability of these are. And that's why we do these charts the way we do them. We have a 30-year chart professional that puts these charts together. And they're meant to be easily read and understood. You know, the tri-wave assembler, transformer, reassembler, people go, what the heck is that? But you can see in the picture, it's kind of explaining pretty simply how things work. And that's why we have the presentation centers where people can actually use them, where they can use the technologies. You know, I talked to scientists that said, you know, I'm 80 years old. I'd like to be a young guy with all the experience I've had in this life. I could create a lot of things. It's going to be phenomenal. It'll absolutely be spectacular. That's why we're so excited about it. You know, people, there won't be any homelessness. There won't be people starving. In this country alone, we've got over 20 million children that don't get even a meal a day. It's just nonsensical. It makes no sense. Everybody on this planet deserves the best of everything, and they'll have the best of everything if they choose. You know, some people want to be minimalist, then they're minimalist, but it frees up the civilization to go in a much healthier direction and expand their horizons and use their imaginations rather than stymie them, and expand out into the universe and start understanding that there's a lot of life out there, and we've just begun to interact with it. At one time, this planet was an absolutely just activity hub in this quadrant of the galaxy. There were starships landing. The pyramids were used as autopilot move-ins. You had all of this happening, starships leaving, coming and going. And then as things changed, the populations went into underground. And then this civilization, because of its uneasiness, doesn't interact with the beneath the surface civilizations. Too aggressive. And we're hoping that'll change tremendously as time goes by, and then we can start reuniting those underneath and those on the surface together, learning a lot of technology. You imagine going to another star system and sitting down and having conversation with a totally different species and learning. This is what we're designed to do, is learn from each other learn from our experience, learn from how life is housed. Anything on this planet we learn from, if we choose to. And realize this is a holographic world, it is a synthetic universe. And there are organic universes that you can go beyond this universe. And it goes beyond, 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 meta, meta, meta. It is absolutely spectacular on the future of this planet. Not the doom and gloom that they're trying to put into the minds of the people.
Super. I'm going to bring up your medbed image next, and I've got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Stop share. It'll take me a moment, so if you want to continue on with your part of the presentation. Okay. Get back to you. And all right, let's share screen. We went through without all the different parts being explained on here, but you did a really good job. And the point that I'm going to create a question about is we have one, let me annotate. You have one visual screen attached to the machine on this particular design.
Yeah.
You've talked about the holographic display that shows up that kind of hovers there, but it's as good, but it's not a hard copy. It's an interactive holographic. And then you talked about a conference room outside of the area. And the question that comes is, after we've gone through and we've had a chance to scan the body on this device, and let's say they go in for consultation in the room, do they have to go through all the changes that they find wrong with the machine, or they can pick and choose?
Pick and choose.
What about it? Go ahead.
So you have the celestial chamber room separate, and then you have counseling room. Okay. We do have a 6D array in the counseling room. So we counsel with the person because, yeah, it's great, you're going to get a new body, but there are emotionalities here that we have to have people, to a certain extent, comprehend. So a lot of people want to redesign. Okay. So we do have a 6D holographic imaging unit in that counseling room. And what it does is that they can literally, it'll scan them and it'll create a body of them exactly as they are. They can touch the body, move it around, but of course it's lifeless. Then they can affect changes on the body. You know, they don't like their feet. We've had people say some really crazy things. I don't like my feet. I don't like my toenails. You know, I want different color hair. I want different color eyes. I want bigger hands or larger feet, whatever. So they can do that. And then they can look at a finished product. They can move it around. It's just like it's the same configuration as their body with all the changes. So they can look at the changes and see if this is what they want as the end factor when they go into the next room for re-atomization. And this way, we're preparing people a lot more so they just don't just go in there and land there and re-atomize and that's it. So they can pick and choose what they want to have re-atomized. If some people they just want to go in and they don't care to have the disease they have. You know, if they've got 4-stage cancer, they're not interested in, you know, being younger. They want the disease gone. And so they'll go in and the disease will be gone. It'll be that they won't have it and they'll never get it again. So there's other people, the majority though want to get younger, they want to be younger. And then there's some that want to stay around a while. I mean, I've communicated with beings that are 10, 15,000 years old and they look like they're 20.
Wow.
So, you know, we have this understanding of plant because we've all been conditioned for hundreds of thousands of years that we just think the way we think because we have no comparisons. Where are the comparisons? There aren't any. So we just believe this. And so when we hear this information come in, we kind of go, wow, that almost sounds like, space talk. And it is, it's here now. And so you got a young civilization that's actually old, but the bodies are young. So you could have a conversation with somebody down the road, and you're talking with them and said, well, Fraz, how old are you now? Well, right now I'm going on 13,500 years. And wow, you've gained a lot of experience. Yes, I have. And it's been absolutely phenomenal, marvelous. And so this person could be talking to you and they haven't got into re-atomization. And they could be like, you're in your body, you're 15,000, but you look 30. And they're 30 original years, okay? And so they're asking you this. You can imagine how advanced the civilization will become when you have all this knowledge on the planet from people who have been in body for thousands of years. It's astronomical. And there are civilizations that have that. And it isn't a negative. It's absolutely a positive on how the civilization transforms and the directions they take. There's no overcrowding on this planet. There never will be. People will get off planet. They'll express their imaginations. They'll get more creative. More geniuses will pop up on planet Earth than people can shake a stick at. They'll step up in the forefront. They'll start creating things. They won't be fearful anymore. It is absolutely exciting to watch this take place. And there's a lot of men and women out there that have just advanced imaginations. They'll be able to create things that no one has ever heard of before. And see, here's the point, that the precursor, you bring in the replicator, they can start utilizing the replicator with their work. They can start creating things and say, no, boom, let's get rid of that. No, this is fine, this will work. So, with the chamber and the broad range replicator, it's going to literally open up the floodgates of humanity and its abilities, power of creation.
Excellent. I've got a nuts and bolts question, literally. Many of us have prosthetics, either in dental implants or cavities being filled with different metals or plastic. Some of us have plates in our bones and stuff. How does that metallic things that have been placed inside our body, how does it react when we get into a celestial chamber? Does it heat? What happens to that metal?
It's always a good question. What the best way I can describe it is that as the array goes over the body and it's going through the 1 minute 40-second re-atomization process, the first part analyzes and knows all of these man-made things in the body, prosthetics, the knee replacements, the hip replacements, the titanium shafts, the metal, the back, the steel plates in the head, all of these different things. It's the pegs, the mouth, the teeth inserts and stuff. What happens is that in re-atomization, these never existed. They did, and they didn't at the same time. So as the array goes through, they disintegrate. It is almost a time field, but not the time field that people would understand. It removes the invasion of artificial materials in the organic body, as if they never existed. So the body does not retain memory of those devices in it. They're gone. They never existed. As this array goes over them, since you go from the head, from the cranial, all the way down to the bottom of the feet. So they disintegrate and new organic matter, material, replaces them instantaneously. So if you could visualize that, you're looking at, if you could, and you can watch it happen internally. You can do that. You can actually watch for yourself like a mini movie as it dematerializes. And it doesn't affect the blood. Some people say, well, what about the jagged particles? What if they, and they're re-atomizing, they get in the blood and they cause damage. It removes it at the site. It literally removes it at the site. It never existed. It literally is put back into atmosphere. It's molecularly reconstructed and put back in the atmosphere. It goes through the pores of the skin It doesn't affect anything. It is quantum level size particle. So it just alleviates itself from the body and goes back into the plasma energy field, the cosmic array. And so when that happens, the person will wake up. They won't have, now this is their choice. If they want the memory to have had that, they will. We had people say, I don't really care to have the memory of a knee replacement and the pain afterwards, the back surgeries. So they don't. They don't have any memory. They'll wake up, and as far as they know, they've had that knee forever, and they've had that hip forever. The back, the spinal column, all the man-made devices do not exist. They're gone. Prosthetics, okay? People with the prosthetics for the legs, hands, arms, their limb, the body has a memory. It will always keep that memory of your organic parts. No, and everybody should know. A lot of people know that. And so that memory, we use the body's memory to generate, to re-atomize that limb. And the interesting thing is that attempts have been tried on other technologies that you can grow limbs, but you have to go to rehab because the limb is infant. And I mean infant, the muscles aren't developed, it hasn't been used, but it's a new limb. That doesn't cut it. With the celestial chamber, you have a fully functioning muscle, tissue, tendons, ligaments, blood flow, hand, arm, leg, feet. If part of your face is blown off in a roadside bomb, it's re-atomized. Steel plates don't exist. People say it's like a magic wand. Yeah, well, if you want to look at it in a fantasy way, that way, maybe. But in reality, it's re-atomizing every single particulate in that body, and all the foreign matter is eliminated. All foreign matter. So there's no congestion in the body. There's no fighting, implants and other people's organs, and it doesn't exist. Someone would come to us and say, my heart's dying. I have congenital heart failure, and I'd like it re-atomized. So you can do that with the CC1. I mean, it's just, it's going to become an understanding that people will understand and say, well, I don't have any arms or legs, or I don't have any legs. We'll re-atomize them. Within a matter of a few minutes, you'll have new legs. They'll be your legs, and they'll always have been your legs, and they'll be fully functional. You'll be able to run around the block. As soon as you wake up and get the grogginess gone, you're good to go. So
it's really interesting. There was one of the thoughts that came up was we remember when we lose a limb, one of the biggest complaints is the phantom limb, where you feel like let's say you've lost your leg from the knee down, you can feel your toe still itch, and it's been missing for many, many years.
Yes.
So the body remembers that it's there.
Yep.
There's other interested. I'm going to move this to a different topic, and this will help with some of our senior viewers. We have folks that have gone in for cataract surgery where they've actually removed the lens of the eye, and then you use glasses to focus and do the things that lens used to do, but you really don't have a memory of that lens because it's kind of like cartilage, and it's it doesn't have feeling per se. I'm thinking that this would replace that lens also, is the question.
Someone's got, let's just take it even further. Let's say someone's got glaucoma. They've got wet MD, macular degeneration. They've got, pressure, out of control in the eyeballs, and so on and so forth. They go through the re-atomization. Now understand this, we can do this. So let's say that we give them a 20-year-old's eyes. They're their eyes, okay, as they had, with no stigmatisms or anything that they would have had at the age of 20. But now they have 20-year-old eyes, 20/20 vision, no stigmatisms, no cataracts, nothing, all as if it never was there. So they could literally, some people I know have such severe cataracts, and we know what causes it, but it's just they can't see. that they're just, you look at the lens and it's all clouded and everything. And some have to have a couple surgeries to remove the layers. But you take one of those people and you take them to counseling room, and then they go into the chamber, and they'll wake up with 20/20 vision. They won't have any eye issues ever again. There won't be any degrading, deterioration. Like our bodies, just put it bluntly, rot away. And that won't happen. See? So you can take a guy got all kinds of eye issues, cataracts, and have him go in the chamber. He wakes up, he'll feel like $1 million because he'll say, okay, so he wants the memory of the eye issues. And so then he wakes up and he goes, they give me a mirror, and they show the mirror to him, and he sees his eyes and he sees what he's reading. No thick lens glasses, no optometry, no surgery, no nothing. You're good to go. You're good to go out the door. And to give people back their eyesight is just a wonderful feeling. And just to see people start being able to understand is that you can fix it now. You can fix it. You don't have to go to a doctor. You don't have to get medications. You don't have to go through all this crap, because it's all crap. And you just go to celestial chamber. Eventually people, it's like with the CC1, that same person with the cataracts and everything, once they learn how to use the wand, they could be in their home sitting in a chair or in the bathroom in the mirror, and they could just run it over the area and have it re-atomized. So they got new eyes, or a new new tailbone, or a new heart, or new kidneys, or a lot of kidney issues on this planet. People go to all that ridiculous barbaric stuff, and they get in the chamber, boom, perfectly healthy kidneys, pancreas, because everything starts with the pancreas. So you have healthy pancreas, you have healthy organs, you feel good, you don't get sick. You imagine what will happen. It'll just absolutely be phenomenal.
What about, let's go a little bit further out into the what if category. Well, let's say that you're human body and you're really good as a terrestrial being. We walk around on this planet Earth, dirt and stuff, but we decide we want to go swimming and we want to go to deeper depths. Is there a way to modify the human body so that it can adapt to these more adverse environments?
That's a really good question. Yes, is the answer.
Okay.
If you have somebody that wants to have a different lung arrangement, lung capacity, as we all know, we breathe the air, the trees give out oxygen, we take it in, we give out carbon dioxide, they take that in. So if you're going to go into a deep dive, where normally you have to have all kinds of gear and everything, well, the celestial chamber will make the appropriate adjustments. You could literally input the data of the depth. It will automatically calculate the pressure on the body, and the lung capacity, and what the lungs would be capable of doing. And it will advance the lung capacity, and it will create, as soon as you go to a certain depth, as soon as you hit the water, so to speak, you'll have gills. Gills, instead of breathing the air, you'll extract the oxygen from the water to breathe. So you'll go, and it's like that's how the body would adjust itself automatically as you go to a deeper and deeper and deeper level. Also, to stabilize, like people get the bends if they come up too quick. There's a lot of pressure issues. They have to go into a hyperbaric chamber and then adjust if they go too deep. Well, the body will adjust into the surrounding environments. The organs will automatically adjust to the surrounding environment. So it's almost like a synthesis that happens in the body, that the person wants to be able to have these capabilities and to have lenses on the eyes that will form that will allow you to see clear under the water. And just like fish, they have that ability. And it's the same with, like some of the mammals that go deep, dive very deep. We can adjust the body's functions without, taking organs out. We can literally change, the body will change automatically and adjust to its environment. So to answer your question, you could dive 3, 4, 500,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 6,000 feet. Infrastructure of the body changes. It adjusts to the environment around it.
Moving on to, go ahead,
yes.
Crystal.
Sorry. I think R&D team is full waiting on the site now.
Okay.
So I'd like to thank Aaron. Thanks so much for coming to speak through us. I know you can't hear me well, so that's why Fraz has taken over the chairing of the meeting. Over to you, Fraz. I think we can close now without the Q&A.
Okay. We've got one technical question that I would like to ask Jared before we close this one down, and that has to do with the production of these devices. And with what you've talked about with the replicators and with the anti-gravitics, basically, once the basic ones, how are you going to manufacture these fantastic devices and get them out to the people when we get into full mechanization of this device?
That's a good question that, we've been discussing with the groups. We'll have the prototype. Once we have the prototype up and running, we'll go through conventional manufacturing. We'll have about a, inline plant in the front, out the back, and it'll be exclusively for the celestial chambers. And that's how we will begin the manufacturing and production of the actual technology. Now, our direction is that we will immediately be working on the Broad Range Replicator after the CC. And I think you can figure out from there, the Broad Range Replicator, the prototype, we will then be able to replicate the BRRs and the CCs. This will expedite things. This, all the different places manufacturing them how many are going to say, no, we're going to do conventional rather than the BRR? So they'll be delivered a BRR. They can start replicating not only our technologies, but theirs too. Say, this will expedite things and get it out to the civilization of the planet.
Thank you very much. And for those that are watching, we are available at truevisionofpeace.com, and Crystal Gull is our grand, she organizes all of this. And if you would like to be one of our presenters, please contact Crystal at truevisionofpeace.com. Thank you so much, Jared. And we are looking forward to your developments in the near future. They can't get here soon enough.
Thank you, Fraz. It's been a pleasure and honor. Thank you, Crystal. Much love to all of you. I deeply love each and every one of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with this, we're going to close this session and get it out to the people. Thank you so very much. Namaste.